Imagine holding a small piece of metal in your hand. It does not pay interest. It does not produce anything. It does not run a company. It does not send dividends. It just sits there, cold, silent, heavy. And yet for thousands of years humans have killed for it. They crossed oceans for it, and they built massive empires on top of it. They've buried it deep under central banks and treated it like the closest thing to absolute financial truth. That metal is gold. And here's the strange part. Gold was supposed to be completely dead by now. We have credit cards now, and we have online banking. We have stocks, and we have crypto. We have central banks that can create trillions of dollars with a few simple keystrokes. So why are governments still hoarding gold? Why do central banks still bury it deep inside underground vaults? Why do investors run back to it every single time the world starts looking unstable? And why does this shiny rock keep surviving every financial system humans invent? The answer is simple. Gold is not really about wealth. Gold is about trust. And when trust breaks, gold wakes up. For most of human history, money was not paper. Money was not numbers glowing on a glass screen. Money was something physical you could hold, something scarce, something difficult to fake, something that did not require you to trust a king, a banker, or a government. That is exactly why gold became powerful. Not because it was magical, but because it solved a permanent biological problem human beings never stopped having. The problem of trust. If I hand you a piece of paper and say, "This is valuable," you have to believe me. You have to believe the government behind it. You have to believe the bank that stores it. You have to believe the system will still respect it tomorrow. But gold is entirely different. Gold does not need a signature. Gold does not need a password. Gold does not need a politician to promise anything. It is valuable because for thousands of years, millions of humans universally agreed it was valuable. And once enough people believe something is money, it becomes money. Gold had three distinct properties that almost every civilization wanted. It was rare, it did not rot or rust, and it was mathematically hard to create more of it. You could easily print paper. You could copy digital numbers. You could issue endless empty promises. But you cannot just wake up one morning and create a mountain of gold out of nothing. That natural scarcity made it powerful. Kings understood this. Empires understood this. Banks understood this. And eventually governments built their entire monetary systems around it. For a long time, paper money was basically just a receipt. The paper itself was not the real money. The physical gold sitting in the vault behind, it was the real wealth. A dollar meant something real, because at least in theory, it was connected directly to a fixed amount of gold metal. That connection created severe discipline. A government could not print unlimited money to fund its own corruption if citizens could show up and demand gold in return. Gold was the ultimate anchor, the leash, the only thing that kept the money system from floating too far away from reality. But governments absolutely hate leashes because wars are incredibly expensive. Promises are expensive. Empires are expensive. And when rulers need far more money than they actually possess, gold becomes a major problem. So slowly over time, the modern world moved away from gold. After World War II, the global financial system was completely built around the US dollar. Other currencies were tied directly to the dollar, and the dollar was tied strictly to gold. 1 ounce of gold was fixed at $35. For a while, this made the dollar the undisputed center of the world. But there was a massive lie hiding underneath the system. America was spending more and more money that did not exist. The Vietnam War, massive government programs, global military power, and as more paper dollars spread around the world, other countries started asking a very dangerous question. Do the Americans actually have enough gold to back all these paper dollars? That question was absolutely terrifying. Because if everyone tried to exchange their paper dollars for gold at the same time, the entire global system would collapse. So on Sunday night, August 15th, 1971, President Richard Nixon went on national television and announced that the United States would stop converting dollars into gold. He made it sound temporary. It was not temporary. That was the exact moment the modern money system changed forever. The dollar was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by pure trust. Trust in the government. Trust in the central bank. Trust in the economy. Trust that everyone else would keep accepting the same pieces of paper. From that moment on, money became much easier to create, and gold became something entirely different. It was no longer the official foundation of money. It became the ultimate asset people ran back to when they stopped trusting the foundation. This is why gold is so strange. When everything looks fine, people call it completely useless. They say it does not produce cash flow. They say stocks are better. They say crypto is the future. They say gold is just an old, useless metal for old people. But the second banks start failing. The second inflation starts rising. The second currencies start shaking. The second war's sanctions and massive debt problems appear. Gold suddenly becomes interesting again. Because gold is not a bet on growth. Gold is a bet against trust. When you buy a stock, you are trusting a business. When you hold cash, you are trusting a currency. When you keep money in a bank, you are trusting the banking system. When a country holds another country's bonds, it is trusting that country's politics. But gold sits entirely outside the matrix. Gold is nobody else's promise. It has no CEO, no central bank, no earnings report, no board of directors, no government that could default on it. That is why central banks still hold thousands of tons of it. Not because they are primitive, not because they forgot how modern finance works, but because they understand something most regular people ignore. In a systemic crisis, the safest asset is often the one that does not depend on someone else keeping their word. This is also why gold has become more important again in the modern world. Countries have watched global currencies get weaponized as political tools. They have watched foreign reserves get frozen overnight. They have watched inflation eat purchasing power. They have watched debt climb higher and higher. And quietly, many of them started buying record-breaking amounts of gold. Not because gold is exciting, but because gold is completely neutral. A dollar belongs to a system. A bond belongs to a borrower. A bank deposit belongs to a bank. But gold just exists, and that makes it powerful. Now, this does not mean gold is perfect. Gold will not make you rich overnight. Gold does not build massive companies. Gold does not innovate. Gold does not hire workers. Gold does not create new technology. If you expect gold to behave like a high-growth investment, you will probably be disappointed. Gold has one main job: to survive. That is it. Gold is not designed to make you feel rich. It is designed to remain valuable when other things start to feel completely fake. That is the real reason people misunderstand it. They compare gold to stocks. They compare it to Bitcoin. They compare it to real estate. But gold is playing a completely different game. Stocks are about growth. Bitcoin is about digital scarcity. Real estate is about income and land. Gold is about pure distrust. It is the financial asset people return to when they are no longer sure who to believe. And that is why the story of gold is really the story of human fear. Fear that money can be printed into oblivion. Fear that governments can overspend. Fear that banks can fail. Fear that currencies can lose value. Fear that the system protecting your wealth might one day become the thing destroying it. Gold does not remove that fear. It gives people somewhere to put it. That is why gold keeps coming back. Every generation thinks it has invented something better. Every generation thinks the old rules are gone. Every generation thinks this time the system is too advanced to break. And then the system breaks, and gold is still there. Silent, heavy, unimpressed. The truth is, gold did not survive for thousands of years because humans are obsessed with shiny things. Gold survived because humans are obsessed with trust and terrified of losing it. So the next time someone says gold is outdated, ask one simple question. If gold is so useless, why do the most powerful institutions on Earth still keep it locked in vaults? Because deep down they know the truth. Paper money is a promise. Banks are a promise. Governments are a promise. But gold is what people reach for. When promises stop feeling safe. If this changed the way you see money. Subscribe to Raw Sketch, because the next system we break down is one you're using right now. Don't get played.